This video series chronicles my journey through Vietnam, from north to south, traveling with a group tour on a thoughtfully curated itinerary that revealed the country's culture, history, and breathtaking landscapes. From bustling city streets to tranquil countryside, each stop offered a new perspective on Vietnam's incredible diversity and the stories that shape it. In this episode, we explore the Temple of Literature by day, a peaceful sanctuary of ancient courtyards, scholars, and centuries-old history. But when the sun goes down, everything changes. We dive straight into the electric chaos of the world-famous Hanoi Train Street, where locomotives roar past just inches away. And along the way, I'll take you through the beautifully choreographed madness of Hanoi's traffic, a swirling dance of scooters, horns, and pure organized chaos. I flew out of LAX aboard this giant Airbus A380, an absolute beast of a plane, with a maximum takeoff weight of nearly 600 tons. Each of its 4 GE engines crank out 70,000 pounds of thrust and weigh about 7 tons each. Even the bathroom feels futuristic, with a motion-activated faucet and a push-button temperature control. How cool is that? I arrived in Hanoi late at night, a day early to acclimate, and checked into the assigned hotel. From the outside, it looked completely unassuming, almost plain. But inside, it opened up into a surprisingly luxurious space with modern facilities, a large bedroom, and a full bathroom. After a great night's sleep, I stepped outside and wandered over to Ho Tin Quang Lake, right across from the hotel. Calm, cool, and perfect for a morning walk. The lake looked noticeably low, and the heavy clouds above draped a soft gray blanket across its surface, muting the colors and giving the whole scene a calm, moody stillness. I set off along the edge of Ho Tin Quang Lake. The water shimmered softly between the trees, catching reflections of passing clouds and the buildings around the lake. Even early in the morning, the heat and humidity wrapped around me like a warm blanket, and before long, I was already sweating. But honestly, it felt great. There was something energizing about being in a new country, watching locals ease into their daily routines. This building is the Students' House of Culture, but the front gate was locked, so I couldn't explore any farther inside. This is the Bo Chun Yen Tong Monument, a modern public artwork. The name refers to Chun Yen Tong, the revered 13th century Vietnamese king who later became a Buddhist monk and founded the Truc Lum Zen School. It looks benign and dull in the daylight, but at night it comes alive with color. I walked around Ho Hoan Kiem Lake, the central landmark of Hanoi. The path was busy with joggers, morning walkers, and locals practicing Tai Chi under the trees. The lake was calm, with reflections of the surrounding buildings and the iconic red bridge leading to Ngak Sun Temple. Even with the steady movement of people and traffic nearby, the area felt surprisingly peaceful. A daily routine for the city and a perfect place to observe Hanoi waking up. As I walked along the edge of the lake, old-growth weeping willow trees leaned out over the water, their long branches brushing the surface with every breeze. Mixed among them were sturdy loc vung trees and other lakeside giants, creating a canopy of shade along the path. As I continued along the lakeside path, I came across an open-air photo exhibition set up beneath the trees. Large prints stood on metal frames, turning the walkway into a quiet outdoor gallery. People paused to study each image, some taking photos of their own, while others simply wandered through. It added a creative, cultural touch to the lake, art and everyday life blending seamlessly in the middle of Hanoi. As I made my way around the lake, the bright red bridge came into view, its color cutting sharply through the soft greens and grays of the water. This is Thay Hook Bridge, the famous walkway that leads to Den Gok San, a historic temple set on a small island right in the middle of the lake. Even from a distance, the bridge adds a burst of energy to the scene, drawing visitors across the water toward one of Hanoi's most iconic landmarks. Across from the lake is the Ly Tai To Flower Garden, home to the towering bronze statue of Ly Tai To, the founder of the Ly dynasty. He's remembered as the emperor who moved the capital to Tung Long, modern-day Hanoi, in 1010, laying the foundation for the city that still thrives today. Standing here, the statue feels like a quiet reminder of Hanoi's origins, watching over the lake and the people as life continues to flow around it. Remember when I said the lake truly comes alive with color at night? This is exactly what I meant. As soon as the sun goes down, the whole shoreline transforms with a burst of color. The reflections ripple across the water. Remember this drab sculpture? Look at it now, all lit up. And it looks even more spectacular in video, as it looks like a firework display. The Bo Trun Yun Tong sculpture lights up brilliantly at night as well. Those sweeping blue rings glow like a futuristic halo over the water, and the central sphere shines as if it's radiating energy from within. Later that evening, I stopped by Haru Spa in Hanoi's Old Quarter. After a quick foot wash, they had me dip my feet into a pod filled with Gara rufa fish, the tiny doctor fish known for nibbling away dead skin. The sensation was wild, a mix of ticklish, tingly, and downright strange, as dozens of little fish swarmed around my feet. It was one of those experiences that feels weird at first, but somehow becomes oddly relaxing once you settle in. That was followed by a blissful 2-hour full-body massage, and by the end of it, I felt completely reset. If you're ever in Hanoi with a bit of free time, I highly recommend this place. It's the perfect way to unwind after a long day of exploring. Later that evening, we met up with our amazing guide, An, who kicked things off with dinner and a warm welcome. Over the meal, she walked us through the details of our upcoming journey across Vietnam and made sure all our paperwork was in order. The next morning marked the official start of our tour, and our first destination couldn't have been more iconic, the Temple of Literature. We made our way through Hanoi's buzzing morning streets, surrounded by a non-stop symphony of honking cars and weaving scooters. The whole city felt like it was already in full motion. The entrance gate to the Temple of Literature is a masterpiece of traditional Vietnamese design. Ornate carvings, layered roofs, and weathered stone that instantly transport you back nearly 1,000 years. Stepping through it feels like crossing from the noise of modern Hanoi into a sanctuary built for scholars, poets, and the pursuit of knowledge. Here, An gives us a quick but fascinating history lesson about the temple and what it represents. Built in 1070 under Emperor Ly Thien Thong, this temple was dedicated to Confucius and became the birthplace of higher learning in Vietnam. Just 6 years later, it evolved into the country's first national university, where scholars studied Confucian classics and trained for imperial examinations. As An talked, it became clear that this wasn't just a beautiful complex, it was the heart of Vietnam's intellectual and cultural heritage. Walking through the entrance gate of the temple feels like stepping into an ancient world, shaped by scholars nearly 1,000 years ago. Just inside, the layout opens into a long, symmetrical pathway, flanked by 2 quiet, reflecting ponds. These ponds weren't just decorative. They were designed to create a calm, meditative atmosphere that helped students clear their minds before studying the Confucian classics. With the water perfectly still and the trees leaning gently over the edges, you can almost imagine the ancient scholars who once walked this same path, preparing for the rigorous imperial examinations that shaped Vietnam's brightest minds. Here, An gives us additional information about this complex, about the inner areas. Along this walkway, you will see 4 panels. As you walk past these panels, you see the entire Confucian journey unfold. The first shows a toddler just beginning to explore the world. The second moves to a young child learning to write, taking their first steps into scholarship. The third panel shows an adolescent deep in study, preparing for the demanding imperial exams. And finally, the last panel reveals the fully grown Mandarin, a symbol of wisdom, achievement, and a life shaped by learning. Walking up to Hui Van Kak, you immediately see why it's one of Hanoi's most beloved symbols. Built in 1805 during the Nguyen dynasty, this elegant red pavilion was designed to honor the beauty of knowledge and the brilliance of scholars. As you pass beneath its arched gateway, the iconic circular windows come into view, a design meant to represent the sun and the harmony of heaven and earth. On the other side of the pavilion, you'll find rows of ancient stone tablets resting on the backs of carved turtles. These steels record the names and hometowns of more than 1,000 scholars who passed the royal examinations between the 1400s and 1700s. Each tablet honors Vietnam's brightest minds, the students who studied here, succeeded in the grueling Confucian exams, and went on to serve as mandarins in the royal court. Just beyond the pavilion stretches the Well of Heavenly Clarity, its still waters mirroring the quiet dignity of the courtyard. This ancient pond, dating back to the 11th century founding of the temple, once symbolized the purity of mind expected of scholars preparing for Vietnam's rigorous imperial examinations. This view of the pavilion is especially meaningful. It's the very image featured on Vietnam's 100,000 dong banknote. Standing here, you're seeing the real-life scene that millions of people carry in their pockets every day. Walking past the pond and into the next enclosed courtyard, you step into the revered Courtyard of the Sages. Here, you'll find the House of Ceremonies, the Great Hall, ancestral altars, and rows of tablets honoring generations of scholars. Quiet walkways and shaded gardens surround the space, the same tranquil corners where students once prepared their minds for Vietnam's demanding imperial examinations. Just inside the Courtyard of the Sages stands a massive bronze incense burner, commanding the center of the space like a guardian of ancient scholarship. Its surface is alive with swirling dragon motifs, symbols of power, wisdom, and protection in Vietnamese tradition. The heavy bronze legs anchor it firmly to the courtyard stones, while the sculpted dragons coil upward as if carrying prayers toward the heavens. For centuries, scholars and visitors have paused here to offer incense before stepping deeper into the ceremonial heart of the temple, adding their hopes and intentions to the quiet smoke that once drifted through this historic sanctuary. Greenery softens the courtyard, cooling the air and bringing a quiet, natural calm to the space and the students that once walked around here. The stork standing on the turtle symbolizes harmony between wisdom and patience, the stork reaching upward toward knowledge, while the turtle provides a steady, grounded foundation. Together, they represent a balanced path to learning and virtue. As you step into the Great Hall, the space opens into a quiet sanctuary of learning and reverence. At the center stands Confucius, flanked by his 4 devoted disciples, their statues glowing softly in the filtered light. Together, they embody centuries of scholarship, moral teaching, and the pursuit of wisdom that shaped generations of Vietnamese scholars. In Vietnamese tradition, the turtle carries wisdom across generations, making its presence here a quiet reminder of the enduring spirit of learning. You'll spot these adenium, often called desert roses, throughout temples and sacred spaces. Their sculpted trunks and vibrant blooms add a touch of elegance and life, making them a beloved presence in places of reverence. We make our way into the final courtyard, where the centerpiece once stood in ruins after the French War. What you see today is a faithful reconstruction, rebuilt with traditional techniques to restore its original elegance. Stepping into this space, you can feel both the weight of its history and the resilience that brought it back to life. Inside the hall, open displays showcase the delicate papers and handwritten scripts once produced by generations of scholars. Each brushstroke reveals the discipline, elegance, and precision expected of students who studied here. At the heart of the hall stands Confucius, revered as the great teacher whose wisdom shaped centuries of learning across East Asia. Surrounded by offerings of flowers and fruit, his presence anchors the space in quiet dignity, reminding visitors of the moral discipline and scholarly devotion that once defined this ancient academy. The Buddha's hand fruit rests on the altar as a symbol of blessings and protection. Its outstretched, finger-like shape is believed to carry prayers upward, offering good fortune, purity, and a gentle wish for peace to all who enter. On either side of the hall stand two companion buildings, one protecting a massive bronze bell, the other housing a ceremonial drum. The drum, crafted in the traditional style, once marked important rituals and academic ceremonies, its deep, resonant strikes echoing across the courtyards like a call to learning. We made our way back outside, and I saw this street vendor selling scooter helmets. One stack has a notch cut out of the back. I couldn't figure out what the notch was for. Then I realized it's to allow women's ponytail to protrude from the back of the helmet. How clever. Back outside, we were bombarded with street noises. Do you want to hear what Hanoi sound like? After dark, we headed to the legendary Hanoi Train Street, a place where passenger trains roar past just inches from your knees. The whole strip feels like a nighttime carnival, with dozens of cafés and restaurants packed along the tracks, serving food and drinks as everyone waits for that heart-pounding moment when the train thunders through. We settled into our reserved spot, ordered a round of drinks, and before long, it turned into a mini photo shoot. Selfies, group shots, and plenty of laughs while we waited for the action on the tracks. It wasn't long before the first of 3 trains came blasting through, thundering past us in a blur of lights and steel. Moments later, the second train came screaming past in the opposite direction, whipping the air as it flew by. After we shifted over to the other side of the street, the third train came tearing through, blasting past us in a rush of wind and noise. The perfect finale to this wild, unforgettable night. What an incredible finale to our very first day on this spectacular tour.